Special kids, special families. That is the focus on the Cumulus Community Pulse this Sunday, March the 9th. I'm Kyle Troxel, delighted to be with you each and every Sunday. And joining me, of course, is Linda Ellegar, the CEO. You may recognize her. She was here during the Indie Give campaign, but we decided to bring her back just because she's a classy gal. So, Linda, thank you for coming in this morning.
My pleasure.
Special kids, special families. Let's reorientate our audience with kind of what it's all about. What is its mission as far as serving individuals with disabilities and their families, and how does your foster care program fit in with that mission?
Our mission, as you stated, is primarily to serve families who have children or adults with disabilities. And foster care definitely fits into our mission because a significant number of children that come into foster care have a developmental disability. Approximately 37% of the children that we're currently serving have a diagnosed developmental disability. And coupled with that, a significant number of children who come into the foster care system have developmental delays. And so sometimes identifying what those lags are and hopefully getting some services in place to help prevent any ongoing disabilities.
What are some of the reasons that children go into foster care? Go into depth in that, if you will.
One main reason is because of drug and alcohol abuse that may be going on, addiction in the parents' lives. And, this can create all kinds of issues from children not adequately getting their daily needs met to not being supervised to, sometimes law enforcement getting involved in the parents' lives so that the children have to be removed from the home. Some other reasons sometimes include mental health issues that a parent may have, whereby because of their mental health condition, and it may be serious depression or a bipolar disorder or other significant behavioral issues, that the parent just is not able to take care of the child and their needs aren't being met.
When you look at foster children, is there a particular background as far as where they come from, or does it vary depending on the situation?
The children typically, the majority of children are coming out of poverty situations, and it may again be the circumstances of the problems that the parents have that are contributing to that, but oftentimes we're seeing poverty issues where there's been an instability in the child's life. They may not have lived in a home of their own for a while. They may be moving around from family to family. Oftentimes, too, we're seeing children that aren't having adequate diets. They're not getting the proper nutrition in the home setting. And other issues include sometimes not attending school or being so absent from school that they're lagging.
Okay. My guest this morning is Linda Ellegar. She is the CEO for Special Kids, Special Families. They are right here in Colorado Springs, and they help out so many. Linda, how about a phone number and our website before we continue with our interview? Go ahead and give people that information.
Sure. Our phone number it's area code 719-447-8983.
Okay, 8983.
And our website is www.sksfcolorado.org.
Okay, excellent. So that's sksfcolorado.org, the website, and the phone number in case somebody would like to reach out to you is 447-8983 in Colorado Springs, right?
Right.
Okay, excellent. What type of person or family calls you when they want to be a foster parent? Obviously, this is a very unique group of individuals we're talking about.
It really is. And there's various reasons that people call. Probably the majority are people who are at a stage in their life where they're feeling maybe the empty nest syndrome, and they have extra space in their home. They like having children around. They feel confident in being parents and want to contribute to other children. But we also have, every now and then we do have a single person who may want to foster a child, and that too can happen if that person has other resources in their life. And oftentimes there are people who want to do this because maybe they grew up in a household, maybe a family member was a foster parent in the past, or maybe they experienced a vocation where they were working with children or at-risk families, and they feel that they have the time and the talents to be able to take care of a child. But we get people who have even, not even raised children yet. They've been around children, but they really want to have children in their life, and for this reason or that reason may not be able to have their own children. So sometimes people are looking to just fill their home.
What are the ages of some of the children, or the children in general, that you work with in foster care? Does it run the gamut, or do you see a particular demographic sometimes?
Well, the children that we see coming into care and that we're able to serve are actually the whole gamut of childhood, which is from birth. Some children are placed from the hospital setting into a foster home all the way through young adulthood, on through age 21. There is a group of youth who are adults, the 18 through 21-year-old youth who are in the quote, the foster care system, who may need to what we call step down, which is to be released from a residential program or a group home setting and live more in a family setting in the community. And they oftentimes have developmental disabilities.
One thing that I have always admired about Southern Colorado, and I have been here for a while, I just wanted to, tell you folks again that there are so many generous people out there in our community, and a lot of times I have talked to a number of different parents who maybe have had children, or their children are grown, and maybe they're looking to become a foster parent. Even those that haven't had children, they might want to become one. They want to find out what it's all about. If someone out there is thinking about becoming a foster parent, and helping special kids, special families, what do they do? What are some of the requirements?
The applicants need to be willing to consider themselves as part of a team. Foster care is considered a temporary arrangement for a child. It's never a permanent arrangement. And so foster families really become part of that treatment team with the county caseworker, with the child's attorney, with our agency and other professionals to help build the resources that the child and the family need, because permanency is always an important part. So being part of a team, being willing to open your home up to having people come and visit the child in your home, come and see how your home setting looks, and making sure that you have a safe home. Be willing to be supervised by our agency, being willing to learn more about what it takes to be a foster parent and maintaining safety in your home, and working oftentimes with some unique challenges from the children. So it really also takes a real desire to help children and a love for children. There's got to be that basic, I really like being around kids, I like helping kids, and I love what children can bring to my life. It needs to be an ingredient for that person.
Linda Ellegard is my guest this morning. She is the CEO of Special Kids, Special Families in Colorado Springs. Phone number, in case you would like to reach out to this wonderful organization, is 447-8983. You can find them on the web. It's a great website, sksfcolorado.org, if you would like to check them out. Now, Linda, I'm sure that there are situations that come up. The family, they agree to be a foster parent. They get a foster child. These people bond, and then comes the situation that arises. What if the family really wants to adopt? They say, we don't want to, go through what normally happens. Is it even possible?
Well, there are foster families who do adopt children, And some families do apply to become foster parents because their end goal is to have a child in their home who has where parental rights have been terminated or relinquished, and that child is free for adoption, and they want to adopt. Other families really get bonded with a child, and it may be a situation where the child is not able to return home, nor is there a relative that can take the child. So in those cases, that's what we would want, is for that child not to have to move again and to be able to stay and have a permanent home.
I understand that you have some specialized programs within the foster care program itself. Talk a little bit about those. Maybe break it down for us.
Sure. We have a program that we call the Benchmarks Program, and it's identifying families who are interested in taking the older adolescents and young adults who are in the foster care system. I mentioned that we take young people up through age 21, and it takes oftentimes a unique family to think about taking adolescents into their home and young adults. And if you're thinking about that, we would certainly want to talk to you about that. There are many adolescents that really are looking for a home setting. They oftentimes are labeled as being challenged in the foster care system, but there are many young people that are wanting to have a permanent home and settle down with a family. So that's one of our programs. The other program that we have is our Family Respite Care Program, which is families who aren't in a position, they don't feel that fostering on a day-to-day basis is what they're called to do, but rather that they can be available for short periods of time or on weekends, and they can help out foster families that maybe have an emergency or just need a break. Sometimes it's not just the foster families, though, too, that need a break. Sometimes the children themselves need that break, too, from the realities of the change of what's going on in their lives. And these families do provide a very valuable service by being a respite provider.
Foster children are in a very unique situation, obviously, but in your experience, based on what you've seen, what are some of the problems that foster children have? And this might come in handy, again, this information for someone who's thinking about taking in a foster child.
Well, for almost all of the children that come into foster care, the difficulty of grief and loss is huge. Children oftentimes have had a very sudden change in their life when they go into foster care. They may have, woken up at home in the morning and in the evening be in someone else's home. And oftentimes the kids don't fully understand why they've been removed from the home, especially the younger children. And this confusion, too, can create some real feelings of anger and frustration, and life is out of control for the child. And then that sense of being separated from family and the familiarity. Lots of kids, even though the family setting may be unsafe and maybe dangerous to the child and unhealthy, that isn't always how the child perceives things. And just imagine if you had a pet that you really, were in love with, and that was your safe haven at home. Being removed doesn't always mean that your pet goes with you.
Special Kids, Special Families is our focus today on the Cumulus Community Pulse, and Linda Ellegard is the CEO. Phone number in case you would like to reach out to these folks, Special Kids, Special Families, is 447 8983. And, of course, a great website to check out if you're curious as to maybe taking in a foster child. Foster children in general is sksfcolorado.org. This wonderful organization can certainly use your help. Linda, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about foster families. Now, I'm sure that there is a process in place for help. I mean, it's not like you just kind of take this foster child and, okay, here's a foster family, off you go, have fun. What type of help does the staff provide foster families? Is there any help whatsoever, any guidelines perhaps?
Well, for some of the children, it does really take a community to help raise the children. And we like to think that we are a team with foster families. We want to work as a team. We want to communicate with each other. And so, knowing that you can call us 24/7, we have an on-call emergency pager that can be accessed any time of the day. If the foster family is experiencing a difficult situation, you can always call. Other services and supports that we provide is we provide training and support group meetings. So every month we have a group that gets together in Colorado Springs, and we tend to focus on topics that seem to be most of interest or of need at the time. So we may talk about the grief and loss that a child goes through that is placed in foster care, or we might talk about stress management and how that foster family can best deal with the stress of having additional children in your home. And it's a lot of fun, too. We like to have our foster families network with one another. And so other things that we do is just we're there when you call. We actually pick up the phone when you call. So that's a wonderful service, too. And we hear you out. We will provide you with the resources that we know in the community to help you. And again, we're there to be a support to you.
Let's talk about the training of families, if there is training per se. Do you have opportunities out there to help them learn about how to intervene in certain situations? I mean, naturally, not just in southern Colorado, but you have a lot of people out there that have wonderful hearts. They just don't have the tools to really accomplish what they'd like.
Yes, we really do tap into some expertise in our organization. We use the Crisis Development Program. It's a model to help families better learn how, when behavioral issues arise, how to best respond. And so we train on a regular basis that basic crisis intervention. We also have, as I mentioned, classes and opportunities to learn about different kinds of behaviors or medical conditions. We have a nurse on staff that helps us to guide us in some training. For instance, we had a child that was a diabetic and required insulin, and so we used our nurse to really help guide us towards education for the family as well as the child herself, just helping her to better understand the importance of taking care of herself.
I hear that nonprofits do fundraisers occasionally, and of course it helps support your programs. For some, it's very essential that they do that. Do you have any coming up in regard to special kids, special families?
Well, we certainly do. This month, the month of March, we have our Bowl-a-thon that is being held on March 16th. It's a lot of fun. We do it with the St. Patrick's Day theme, so wear your green. And our teams are all formulated. Gosh, we're full already. That's exciting, but you can always go online, find out about the teams, and make a pledge. So, these funds support our special needs programs. We've got another event coming up in June, which will be Sweet Summer Nights, and that will be June 7th.
Okay, excellent. Do you have opportunities, Linda, to get involved in your organization? Maybe it's from a volunteer standpoint or some other way, because I know somebody out there in radio listener land would really love to help you folks out.
Well, we absolutely welcome people to come in and participate in our organization. And volunteering is a great way that you can do it. We have a variety of opportunities. Anything that can be done even one day, or if you want to be an ongoing volunteer. Some of it is outdoor, kind of help us paint, repair, fix up the yard at Zach's place, or it could even be help us to provide some childcare during a foster care training session. We have lots of opportunities, and I would recommend you contact Christy Haggard in our organization. She's our volunteer coordinator.
Before I let you go, and I know that there are certain stories in your mind. You've seen so much of really this organization coming out and helping so many children. Is there a story that stands out in your mind, maybe one of your favorites off the top of your head where you had a child in foster care, they were placed just with that beautifully perfect foster family, and the connection that they established was maybe one that would last a lifetime? I always like to, hear stories, especially on a Sunday morning. Do you have one in mind?
Well, I do. There's a family who have fostered for at least 10 years now with special kids, special families. And they're just a wonderful family. Their home has always had foster children running around in their home. And they recently told me about an experience of having a family that they took care of the children. It was their first foster care placement. And these were young children, a sibling group. And just in the last year, they experienced having a knock on their door one night and opened the door, and here it was the relative and the children. And this was it was 7-8 years later. And the children looked around the house. They were just really surprised. The aunt had said that she'd always wanted to come back, have the children come back and recall where they once lived. And the children looked around. The youngest, the foster mom said, just didn't remember, but the other children did, and remembered places in the house. And that's the kind of story to me that says, mission accomplished, because the children had gone back home. The parent had experienced a very difficult time. The children went into foster care, and they were quite young and were placed then with the aunt. And oftentimes foster parents don't hear what's happened with the children, especially when they're young. But for this aunt of the children to take the risk of knocking on the door and letting the foster parents see the children and letting the children have that sense of knowledge and memory for them to carry on in the future is wonderful.
And certainly as special kids, special families, as we were talking about this morning. Linda Ellegard, the CEO, kind enough to join me. Phone number and our website in case you would like to reach out. Again, find out more information. Maybe you'd like to become a foster parent, perhaps. There's a lot of great people out there, and this organization can kind of guide you along. They've had the tools, as we have talked about this morning. They've got the tools in place. They've got, they're not just going to throw you into the fray, so to speak. You have a lot of support around you. And if you'd like to reach out to them, it's as simple as a phone call. 447-8983 is the number. And, of course, the website, wonderful website, is sksfcolorado.org. And, Linda, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for coming in today.
Oh, thank you.
This is, of course, the Cumulus Community Pulse.
The Cumulus Community Pulse. Remember, information shared on today's show can be found on this station's website,